Hello, Matrix Live fans. Welcome to Matrix Live Season 3, Episode 12. It is the 25th of January, 2019. And I'm here today I'm Ben. I'm here today with Rick. Rick is a member of the Matrix core team. He's employed by NewVector, and he works on a project called Modular. You may have heard something about it, but we're going to talk in a lot more detail about it today. It's something that Rick pretty much spends all his time doing, and it's a really core part of our future planning. So I'm really happy to be talking to Rick about all the stuff that he's been doing lately. Rick, do you want to introduce yourself and say hi?
Sure, great to be here today, Ben. As you mentioned, I head up Modular. That's the part of NewVector that creates our software as a service offering. That's basically packaging and hosting riots and related integrations for people who love Matrix but don't really want to spend all of the time running their own services from scratch and maintaining them themselves.
Cool. So that's sort of what Modular is. It's a software as a service offering that lets people host what? Synapse and Riot.
So at the moment, it's a full stack of Synapse, your Riot, and your integration manager kind of packaged together. In due course, you'll be adding lots of other integrations and things into it as well.
What integrations are available today then as part of this package?
All of the standard integrations that you would have on matrix.org. So you've got your standard bridges, and bots, and widgets.
Okay. All right, great. Okay, so what's in a name? What is Modular?
So the idea is that's the end goal of what we're going for here. We're going for a core hosting platform of your Synapse, Riot, and be able to plug different modules into it, whether that be a bridge or a custom auth integration or widgets, whatever you want really. Mm-hmm. So we're going to build this whole ecosystem that you can customize your installation for your needs.
Okay, so it's not just Synapse. That's not the end goal. It's to be something broader, something more modular.
Exactly.
Cool. Okay, so what's the reason? I mean, bear in mind that Synapse is an open source product. Anybody can just download it. You can dump it on DigitalOcean or AWS or something yourself. Why are you offering this as a SaaS?
So I think anyone that's played with Synapse and trying to get up and running probably experienced a little bit of frustration, and there's quite a high technical burden to be not just getting it up and running. Mm-hmm. That's pretty simple, but keeping it up and running, making sure that all these certificates are in place and maintained, and that you're not running out of disk space and all of this kind of stuff. So by building a SaaS offering, we've really tried to create something that's very simple, people to use off the shelf, that is tailored for high performance by the people who built it, created it, and know how this stuff works, mm-hmm. and to make it so that it will scale with your usage. If your company starts using it today with 50 employees, and then you continue growing to thousands, that's something that we're here to support and to help you with.
Okay. I mean, so in general then, the answer really is that anytime that you would want to do DevOps or operational stuff, sometimes having a third party, especially the third party that created the software, and do it is beneficial to your business, especially business, because this is a paid offering, yes?
Yeah, that's right. Really aimed at businesses. One of the things that we've kind of done from day one is to target the larger users, mm-hmm. People who today will probably either be running their own large instance or be using matrix.org, and maybe the matrix.org service not really for that at the moment. So this is targeting at the moment 50 plus users per server, and obviously we'll be looking to bring that down in the future.
Okay, sure. So you are building new tooling though. You're building stuff for integrations and for migrations as well.
Yeah. So with Modular, we've had to build everything from scratch, an entire platform to manage the creation of these stacks and the manipulation, configuration of all of the different elements that you might want, and try and make it as simple as possible. Mm-hmm. So, if you were to go to the site today, you could have your own hosted stack up and running in 5 or 6 minutes from scratch, and that's a very quick wizard flow, just going through, entering a few text boxes, and you're up and running. Um, so that's kind of the core part that we've been focusing on so far. We're working now on building out that tooling to appeal to probably a broader range of people who want different customizations to their servers. Maybe they want to pay in different ways. Maybe they want all of this type of stuff. So we're really working on polishing that experience to make it as simple and usable as possible. However, further down the line, we need to start looking at other integrations that people might want, and we really want to be led by the customers here. And you know, if someone's watching this and going, "Oh, I'd really like this feature," or "I'd like this kind of integration," please do get in touch, and we'll prioritize that. One of the big issues we've got at the moment is that we've got thousands of features that we want to be working on, and not a huge amount of resource to do so. So we really need to look to what's going to be most beneficial to the community and people ultimately willing to pay for it.
Yeah, I mean, the fascinating thing, I guess, about in open source in general, and where the rubber meets the road and is used for commercial purposes, is really knowing what people want by using what people are willing to pay for as your metric for that. And Modular is very explicit in saying if you need this feature, then we'll consider adding it or bumping it up the priority list. To make sure that commercial users get the things that they need.
Absolutely, it's a really interesting balance to have to make, and it's quite an interesting challenge that I like having. Is working as part of this big open source community, but very much being the commercial arm of that from the person in charge of making this SaaS offering work and trying to find the right balance of what people are willing to pay for. One of the benefits of being explicit in that is that we can really make prioritization decisions quite clearly. If someone comes to us and say, well, that we want this thing, we want to pay for it, we can then go and do that. Whereas, you know, in a much more in the traditional open source model, it's harder to do that.
Yeah, and I mean, we can, what it means is the Matrix team can wear two hats, where one of the hats is yours.
Yeah.
All right. So, okay, in terms of building the new tooling out, has there been anything interesting or difficult? Is that the same thing?
Well, there's been lots of interesting challenges, definitely. I think one of the things that's been a challenge so far is creating something that will work for the smaller groups of people. As I mentioned before, we're really targeting large groups right now. Part of that is due to the overheads associated with running a stack at the moment. It's quite computationally expensive. We need to really look at how we can reduce down all of that resource usage and make it cheaper and smaller for smaller groups of people. That's absolutely something we're working on right now. It's going to be one of the big things for this year, but that's a big challenge for us at the moment.
I mean, is that referring mostly to Synapse, or is there other parts of the stack that you could say the same thing?
One of the interesting things when building a product like this is trying to build something that's applicable to everyone. You know, you want to be able to scale infinitely, and yet at the same time, you want to have a small footprint, and you don't want to have expensive resource usage. So what we've done, start off by focusing on the people who want to scale to really, really large deployments. That comes with a natural baseline of cost. And then once from there, we can look at what bits of those can we factor out, how can we make this simpler, more reusable for the smaller instances.
Okay, interesting. And tooling, let's say with tooling, where can you migrate from? You obviously you can use bridges for all kinds of things on the open source thing anyway, but in terms of migrations.
So one of the core things we want to do with Modular is we want to give people ownership of their own data and not to be locked into anything. I think it's one of the big problems with going to a Slack or someone else today, that you're completely at their behest, you're controlled, your data's in there, and they love that. With Modular, we want to make it as portable as possible. If you want to come to Modular today and then in a week or a month down the road you want to go and host your own server, brilliant, that's fine. But also we want to make it easy for people to bring their data into Modular in the first place. So we've been working on some migration tools. So the first one obviously was creating a matrix to matrix migrator.
Yeah.
May sound very, very obvious, but something that we haven't had to date. And this tool allows you to take an existing account on, say, for example, matrix.org or any other Matrix server, and to migrate all of your data into a modular hosted instance, or indeed any other Matrix server.
Yeah. Okay.
And that process works the other way around as well. So you can quickly hop between servers with your
Interesting.
your
And
data.
does that include message history?
Yep. Yes and no. What it does is it actually joins your new user into the room your old user was in. So you can. That may sound quite trivial on the surface of things, but what it allows you to do is it allows you to quickly move your account without necessarily need to fill up your whole new server with all of your old data. If you want your old data, you can go back and back paginate, and you can get that.
Yes.
There's also the option to part your old user from the room as well, so you can easily.
So I mean, and with this, then it doesn't, it's the authentic original events is the way you get the history. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's not recreating it.
Completely unadulterated. So that's good. That was the first thing. However, recently, in the last couple of days, we've launched the HipChat and Stride migrator. This is coming quite far down the line for people who are coming to the end of life on HipChat and Stride at the moment, but we're hoping that there might still be a few people out there who haven't migrated yet and are slightly reluctant to take the default route of going to Slack. And to those people, I say, come and check it out, come and try and see what you get on the modular side of the fence. We've actually written quite a long, detailed blog article on this recently, explaining all of the pros and cons of modular compared to HipChat and Stripe, but also compared to Slack, which is very much the default route that Atlassian have suggested people take. And not least, there's one of cost. The user cost in modular is $1.50 per user per month, whereas an equivalent in Slack is $8 per user per month, which is an insane price increase.
Yeah, and I mean this need to migrate itself. It really highlights a lot of the philosophies around Matrix and modular, which is that at the end of life of a service, it is being controlled by some third party that previously people were paying, and now they've got all these problems with how to get their data out, and it must be frustrating if you're a business owner to be just told, oh, no problem, just use Slack at twice the price. It just seems really weird. You wouldn't tolerate it in other areas of business.
Yeah. And I feel very bad for those people. So I hope that that's something that we can offer differently and to help change that landscape slightly.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so you can migrate from existing Matrix servers. You can migrate from HipChat. So
other migrators coming soon. So we're probably 80% of the way there on a Slack to Matrix migrator. Okay. Some scheduling needed to get that finished off, but that's very much on the horizon. And again, if there's any other people out there who are locked into a system at the moment and want to move across to modular, and we don't have a migrator yet, please do get in touch and we'll see what we can do.
Yeah, for sure. And we've already said, right, migration out, it's a standard Matrix server. So anything would work,
Yeah, absolutely. And we can, in addition to offering the Matrix migration tool, people who have a modular server also have access to all of their underlying database data. So, if you want to move to your own server, you can airlift that off and spin up your own server.
Yeah, I mean, and this is, again, I hate to come back to it, but this is the real value of it being open source. This isn't so much a modular feature; it's just how Matrix is. It's just a database that you can migrate. I don't want to disparage your work.
No, I think there is a slight difference though, in that even in other systems where you might be able to run your own server. It's very difficult to export and get access to your data if you've got it running in their premium or their cloud offering. Right. I'm not going to name any in particular, but there definitely are offerings out there that make it difficult to do so.
Okay. All right, and then a really obvious question, I guess, is what sort of demand and success are you seeing? Are you getting a lot of people sign up? Are you able to share anything with me?
Yeah, well, I mean, I won't share any specific numbers, but I think we've been very, I mean, it's very early days yet,
Yep.
and we've been very pleasantly surprised by the uptake, the usage that we've had so far, and especially in light of the fact we haven't really been doing any advertising. It's been very much a stealth launch to
Yep.
the existing community and people who are using it. And we also know that aiming at these larger communities, there's less of them that are willing to pay at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Where there are people who really want access to this, it tends to be on the smaller server side of things, and that will be coming just as soon as we can. But at the moment, it's very, very positive indeed.
Small instances. I know this is something popular, and I know it's something that people all want. Do you have any planning or ETA around it?
Yeah, we've got quite a good plan now of how to produce this and to create an offering that will work for the people who have been getting in touch and asking.
Mm-hmm.
We're basically looking at servers that can handle up to 20 users. Okay. This is probably from a person who wants a 3-person server for them and their family, up to people who want to communicate with their direct friends. I think that in order to make that work, we might be looking to make some differentiation from the larger server offering. Probably come in the form of limiting the size of the rooms that people can join, or something along those lines. That really helps to keep down the number of events. That's really the interesting thing with regards to resource usage. But we'll also be looking to make it as simple as possible for people to scale between the instance sizes as well. So, if you do start off on a small server, maybe without a restriction like that, then it would be easy to bump up to another server size if if you find that starting to become a burden.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it should be easy to scale between them because, yeah. Okay. So I was going to say what's next, but we've talked about there'll be more migrators coming, and there'll be more ability for people to get migrators that they want. Smaller instances. Is there anything else on the roadmap that we want to talk about? I know there's a lot.
Huge number of things on the roadmap. I think. Yes. Okay. So the features that I think are going to be very interesting for people in the near future. Multi-currency work. So at the moment, pricing is done in US dollars. In the near future, we're looking to be able to expand that out for people paying in pounds and euros as well as a first step. But once we've done the work for that, actually, it's relatively simple to add other currencies as and when we need to. Also work on customizing your Riot instance. So some of the work I'm doing at the moment will allow people to set custom tints and select the default themes for their Riot instance, but also to be able to set the application name and the application logo.
Yeah. So for white labeling for businesses.
If there's a company out there that wants to have their own chat platform that's branded with their company name and their company logo, then that's absolutely fine, and you can simply enter those into your server configuration parameters and bang, up and running. So this is, I think, a real differentiation from, again, some of the other platforms out there that really want you tied to their brand and all of that other stuff. This is really building on the open source nature of Matrix and Riot and allowing you just to configure that to your needs in hosting.
No, I know that there's so much. So cutting it down and then making it publicly suitable is a whole section of project management. All right, listen. I think we've covered plenty of content. If people are interested in getting their own hosted Matrix/Synapse instance, what should they do today?
Okay, so the simplest thing is just to go to www.modular.im. That's the main landing site for the for Modular and for the app.
Okay.
If you create an account on there, and you can either enter a domain name that you would like or a host name, and click click submit on there and you'll go straight through into the wizard for setting up a new server. As I mentioned previously, you can have that server up and running in under 5 minutes. So it's a really simple process. So that's the simplest thing to do. But if you're having any problems with that, come and chat with us in the Modular room on matrix.org. I think that's just called Modular.
Yep.
Or come and email support@modular.im.
Okay.
And we'll be happy to help.
Amazing. All right, Rick, thank you so much. Thank you for making so much progress on Modular lately. And yeah, I'm really excited to see, what I'm really excited to see is how people are using Matrix commercially and, how that affects, your prioritizations, just because I think it's really, we spend so much time thinking about open source and not as much time thinking, well, what would a commercial user specifically want? And one way to find out is to see what they pay for. So yeah, it's really cool that you've separated that out in the business. All right. Thanks, Rick. Thank you, Matrix Live.
Cheers. See you soon.
See you soon.